Long down the right side. Caught. Touchdown, Washington State.
He is there. Booby. 60, long three.
What a catch by Phillip Bobo.
The Palouse is going to pop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Fieldhouse Report. As always, I'm Drew Callahar alongside Cougar Carlson, and today we have a very special guest, Washington State Hall of Famer, NBA legend, and current color commentator for Cougar basketball, Craig Ehlo. How you doing, sir?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, the Cougs got it done last night. That was good to see. You were on the call. I saw you down there. I tried to wave, but we sit pretty far up, so I don't know.
I was just thrilled that they got off to a good start. The first two games that did not happen, and it cost them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see us back in the win column, and it's early on in the season, so I'm trying to withhold any, overreactions at this point. I think David Riley and the boys are going to be just fine. Yep. And we, like you said before we got on, one win over one purple team and one more to go this week.
Yes, we're going to knock out both purples in 1 week, so that's good to know.
Yes, we're going to be there. It should be a good
I love
atmosphere.
your name, Cougar Carlson. That goes
perfect. I actually got it from a buddy of mine. We did this whole bowl game thing so fun fact, I know we're going off on a tangent because we have to get back into this, but fun fact on that is basically a buddy of mine who I went to grad school with, and I will not name the other school. Greg, I'm so sorry.
Okay, we know.
Okay. But, and he basically, we did this whole bowl game thing, and I was in with his family and friends, and we did a little pool. And basically he's like, "You're Cougar Carlson. That's how we know you, because you love the Cougs." And yeah. And so ever since then, I've kind of just adopted it and just embraced it. So it's been fun.
Double C, I like it. Goes perfect for you.
Thank you, sir.
My son, though, Austin, that I believe talked to you, and his wife, Macy, are going down to Austin, Texas, where her brother, Sten, because his name is Austin, and my son's name is Austin, so they call mine Ehlo, and they call Sten Austin or Sten. So he moved down to Austin, Texas 2 years ago, I think, to work at a winery. And that was kind of what he wanted to do. And that's what he was doing here. And he met a girl from the other school, and they were tying the knot this weekend.
Oh, man.
She had the audacity to when they came out to the lake to visit Austin and Macy, to wear her purple sweatshirt on our boat. And I'm pretty sure Macy took care of that, though, but it'll never happen again. But yes, they are tying the knot, and that does happen, I guess. So
yeah, no, it happens. It's difficult for the children in those relationships. Usually there's a lot of arguing in the house and stuff, but it'll be all right. They'll figure it out.
Sure.
I'm sure.
Yep.
All right,
back on tape.
Well, before we get too far into this, we got to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors, starting with Neil's in Pullman. I was just there this past weekend. They have all kinds of unique Cougar Christmas gifts. So the next time you're in Pullman for a football game or a basketball game, be sure to stop by there and pick up a coffee and a very unique Cougar Christmas gift for all the Cougs in your family.
Yes, Neil's and Chris Chandler's the owner. They're just great. I love them there. The other sponsor that we have is Williams Sauce Company. Best barbecue sauce in the Pacific Northwest. Just get it. You guys don't want to miss it. Love it. And I'll be bringing some to Drew on Friday.
Definitely. I'm going to have to try that. I haven't tried that one yet. So,
well, if we see you on Friday, I'll be sure to bring, if we can sneak one in, I'll bring one down to you. Okay, Craig?
I would appreciate that, Cougar.
All right.
There you go. All right. So the way this episode is going to work is we're gonna first cover Craig's glory days. Obviously, we're going to talk about his time in the Crimson and Gray, his time in the NBA, and then we're going to discuss the current team, get his thoughts and insights onto what David Riley's team can do for the rest of the season. All right. So, Craig, you spent 2 seasons at Washington State. obviously had a huge impact on the program, especially in that very special 1983 season. You go to the second round of the NCAA tournament. A lot of people know that piece of it, but not a lot of people know is how the heck did you get to Pullman in the first place? You're an Odessa College transfer, originally from Lubbock, Texas. What drew you to Pullman? What was your recruiting trip like? Can you dive into that a little bit?
So I'm not going to lie to you because Coach Rabling actually told me this himself. But there was a young man, and he had recruited from the conference that my school was in. Odessa College was in the Western JUCO conference, and actually Coach Rhodes, that coached the girls forever down in Pullman, was one of the first recruits he got from that conference. So he was very familiar with the conference. But there was a young man that had left the Gonzaga program and went to a JUCO in my conference. It was in Snyder, Texas, and it was called Western Texas. And it was actually very famous because Nolan Richardson, the Razorback coach and NCAA champion coach, was there for a while and did very well there, and then went on to Tulsa and then to Arkansas. But so Chuck North was the guy's name. He was 6'5", left-handed, just a block of a human being, and played with his back to the basket. And the game that they actually came to watch Chuck North play was against the mighty Odessa College Wranglers.
Nice.
And my sophomore season, I had the green light to do anything. Whatever I wanted to do, my coach did not care because we had lost a few guys that signed with other teams after my freshman year. So only 3 freshmen came back. So he gave me free reign to do anything. And on that night, it just happened that I happened to outplay Chuck North and caught the eye of Coach Raveling in the stands. 3 or 4 days later, my first letter came from Washington State saying that, yeah, they would love to have me in the Cougar uniform. So from that point on, I was getting videos of Terry Kelly and his years at Washington State saying, okay, this is the guy that you're going to be. Just watch him, watch whatever he does, because that's who you're going to be at Washington State.
Wow.
And so it was just a home run hit. And I got to tell you, though, my mother, like you said, my hometown was Lubbock, Texas. My mother didn't miss very many of my games all through high school and at junior college. And the only other school that really was offering me at that time, or it was interested in me, was Baylor in Waco. And their program wasn't what it is today with the Drew family running it there. But she basically had me signed, sealed, and delivered to Waco, Texas, before she met Coach Raveling. And when Coach Raveling found out that she was not very interested in me going 2,500 miles away from my hometown, and by the way, I'd never been out of the state of Texas, all the school. Well, I take that back. We had 2 schools right on the eastern or western side of New Mexico, Hobbs and Roswell, and New Mexico military. So he started recruiting her and came to Lubbock, didn't tell me, and took my parents out to eat. And I got a phone call and at the dorm that I was staying in Odessa. And my mom was like, I really like that Coach Raveling. She said, if you want to go play in there or out there, you have my permission to do that.
Wow. So did you go to Pullman before you committed, or was this like you committed and then?
Well, first of all, Coach Raveling totally recruited me on, at that time, it was the Pac-10. He was like, come to Washington State and help me beat UCLA. That's all I want. If we beat UCLA, we will win the Pac-10 conference. So my visit to Pullman was a February date, and they played UCLA that night. And I think the team that I think they might have been right around even 500 basketball, but there was 12,000 people at Beasley and Frill Court, and it was the most exciting thing I'd ever been a part of to do. And, I think the rule is still the same. I think when you visit a school, it's only 48 hours on campus. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time on campus. And he also brought me in at the stroke of midnight. So I didn't really see that I was driving 78 miles or 80 miles from the Spokane airport to Pullman. So when I woke up they used to have a hotel rooms above the Cub. And I woke up and it was kind of sunny that day, and kids were like walking around, and the game was at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And so, yeah, I was signed, sealed, and delivered after that.
Was that
Wow.
1980 when we beat them in Beasley, or was that a different?
No, it would have been the year after that. But
Okay.
yes, because I did have a poster of the Don Collins and Terry Kelly and Brian Ryson, I think, and Stuart House and Angelo Hill, and they were like set up. It was a frill court. It was a great poster, and it hung in my dorm room forever. And because that was one of the first things they sent me, so I do remember that game. They did beat UCLA. I think they were like in the top 5 in the country at that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the game that I went to though, we lost pretty bad. It wasn't a
That
good
sounds
game.
about that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, you got to think what Coach Raveling told me. He said, like, if you come, you'll help me beat these guys. Sure enough, the 2 years I was at Washington State, I played them 4 times. I was still part of that legacy of Washington State that didn't win 60 for 60-something games or down at Pauley. We came
yeah.
close my senior year. We lost in overtime 89 to or 87-85. And that was the closest we got. And then thank God we got Tony Bennett and his dad to come, and we finally beat him down there in Pauley. So
Yeah.
I was a student when Tony Bennett was there, so yeah. And we had
Was that
like number 4
the
or
that
number
was
5 ranking.
was that the Rochester game when he beat them down there, or did we beat him before
He
that?
did, but this was certainly, I don't know if that was after Bennett or like at the end of Bennett. What do you remember, Craig?
I
Yeah, I
don't
don't remember.
remember, but it sounds like Taylor's team and Clay's team. Maybe Clay was on that team. So
Yeah. Freshman
Yeah.
Clay.
Yeah.
Good
So
memories.
you got to play for George Raveling. What was it like to play for him, and what impact did he have on your life? And did you actually keep a relationship thereafter with him? And what was that like?
yes to all of those, Cougar. He was probably one of the most active coaches that I'd been around. My high school coach, was the PE teacher, and I liked him, but I didn't have to talk to him very much. And my 2 coaches, I had one at my first year at OC that I really liked a lot, but he had another agenda on. He was trying to get out of Odessa himself and go on to a bigger school. And then the coach that they brought in my sophomore year, kind of the same thing. Like I said, he gave me the green light on everything, so I really liked him, but I didn't ever go drink coffee with him or be invited to his house. Coach Raveling was the polar opposite. He totally got involved in your life. There was at least every week you had to stop by the office at some point and say hi to him, and he just shoot the bull with you. I mean, he was just wanting to know what I was doing. And if the girl I actually married, my wife, Janny, was, treating me nice, or if how's my classes going? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And, the one thing that I really admired about Coach Raveling was I know everybody knows this, that he was an avid reader of everything. Newspapers, books, zines. The poor little managers, the student managers that we had, and we practiced in Bowler at that time. We didn't practice in the Smith where they have the practice court now, but they had to carry these big duffel bags full of newspapers and magazines and books and everything. And practice started at 3. We had to be on the floor at 2:30. And at 2:45, when Coach Raveling walked in after we did all of our warm-up stuff, we sat down, the bleachers were pulled out, and we all sat down, and he would read us a story about a guy that lost his leg, or about a kid that couldn't see that wrote book after book, just life skill stuff. And You would think after we warm up and practice ready at 3, you would think that we would all be kind of like, well, we need to stretch again or we need to get warmed up again and stuff like that. But we went right into drill work and everything. And I don't think he got enough credit for the way he had coached and some of the things that he did. He did write a book on rebounding. So I don't think the 2 years I was there that we ever got beat in rebounding against our opponent. But yeah, he got involved and I don't know if y'all have seen the tapes of him, but I saw it the first time when I was at that UCLA game on my visit where he stood up, raised his arms, and one section after another section after another section stood up. And you talk about energy. At that time, the sixth man at Frill Court it gave you all kinds of energy to do. And all he did was raise his arms like that. And it was incredible. And, I got to see that for the next 2 years. And
yeah.
I was talking about this last night with Chris King on the broadcast because I come in from Palouse when I come to the games and I drive right by. It used to be Terraview Drive out there was nothing out there. There was not anything to be seen. And sure enough, every time I drive and go to the game, there at the Marriott's, the 2 hotels.
Yeah.
I saw St. Thomas guys getting on the bus and having a 5-minute drive. We had the best home court advantage in the Pac-10 because you had to fly into Spokane, you had to bus down, you had to stay in Moscow because Pullman didn't have adequate hotels. Everybody hated, including Bill Walton, who only came like twice or something. They all talked about what an advantage it was for us. And my senior year, we went 14-0 at home. And it was because students got in free. 6,000 was on one side were students and 6,000 on the other side was reserved seating. And it was, when the conference rolled around, it was packed to the hill. I think I'm in the top 10 3 times. And I know we're at number 1 with the win over UCLA my senior year with 12,600, I think, at the game. So 14-0 at home. And it was a huge advantage for us because of the opponents happened to do what I just described to you.
Yeah. Well, you're pretty much answering our questions for us here. As that was the next question I was going to ask was what the environment was like during that 1983 season. But I guess I can ask you this. The thing that when I was a WSU student, that I always stressed to the people that were sitting around me was we can make an impact on the game. Like if we yell loud enough while this guy's shooting free throws, if we're yelling, we got Arizona State's coach. I'm blanking on his name right now. We got him to flip
Hurley.
He flipped us off after one game and we were like, yes, we did it. We got under his skin because we were yelling at him the whole game. What was that like to play in front of those crowds? What did it do for you as a player? I can only imagine it was pretty inspiring.
It was inspiring. What was even more inspiring was being in January and February and seeing guys camped out. We didn't have the lines like, Krzyzewski's City or whatever they call it, or even what Gonzaga had, but we had guys camping out because the students, like I said, got in free. So, the first ones in were, getting the front row. And so we'd have shoot around, and most of our games were always at night. Maybe one of the weekend games might have been in the afternoon or something, but most of them were at night. Our shoot around was always like at 3:45 to maybe 4:30 or something like that. And at 4:30, they opened the doors and the students, we'd watch the students run and dive to get their seats and hold their seats. Some of them were obviously fraternity kids that, were having to save it for their fraternity brothers and
the pledges
and stuff.
Yeah.
And in the bottom, when I was there, the bottom part didn't have the chairs or the seats in it yet. It was still bleachers. So when they got past the concrete barrier for the next section, it was like saw guys dive, flip, everything. And you talk about being fired up. We'd go eat our pregame meal and then come back. And by the time we got back, the 6,000 kids were already in the arena and screaming and
Wow.
hollering. And I know it's kind of corny, but they did all the, like, when they introduced the other guys with the newspapers, up, and then they throw them on the floor and all that kind of stuff. So
I love it.
it was really amazing watching that, take place from shoot around all the way to the game. And I don't know if you've looked at our schedule, but we won a lot of ball games by 1 or 2 points. So they were always like nail biters and exciting. And I guarantee you, we won a bunch of them just because of the student support.
You're actually bringing me back, honestly, to my college days. I was there during the Tony Bennett era. I
Oh,
transferred
I was
from
there
Los
too.
Angeles,
I love that.
but I transferred from a Los Angeles community college, and I went up there. And mind you, of course, UCLA is on their run for the 3 Final Fours, 2006, 7, and 8, with the likes of Ben Hallen at the helm. But we
Yep.
had Dick Bennett, and by the time I got there, Tony Bennett was at the helm, 2007, 2008. And I camped out the entire night before him. The largest windstorm came through that night, along with, all the snow that was coming. I'm sitting there like in a tent, like camping out with my friends just to catch the glimpse of the UCLA Washington State. I think we're 4 and 5 at the time. And I bought the tent at Walmart all the way in Moscow, and then literally just end up returning it the next day because I'm like, well, I don't need it, but here you go. Just a fun fact. But anyways, that, and I got to shoot the third quarter or whatever shot contest thing for, the layup, free throw, 3-pointer and half court, and missed the half court by that much.
Darren, I don't know if I've showed you this, but this ball is signed by that whole team.
Oh,
right here.
That's a great team. I tell you.
I've got a ball right here. I've got my own. Literally, I think I have Klay Thompson's on here. I'm not. Yep, right here.
What I really need is 1983
number 1
autographs. That
team. Yeah.
I think I could best both of you. I don't have.
I'm sure you can.
So when it was still the Pac-10 when I got honored by being in the first Pac-10 Hall of Honor when they started that. And Sean Elliott spoke for all of us. Each school got to put somebody in. And so that year they put in like Coach Wooden and the guy that was at Cal that won a championship there. I have a basketball signed by that group, the first group.
Wow.
Except for the guys that were dead. I think Washington put somebody in that was dead. So he's the only signature that's kind of messing on my ball. But yeah, that was pretty special getting to, see Coach Wooden. I'd met him before that, but yes, being honored at the same time was pretty incredible.
All right.
So fun fact for me. Yeah, fun fact for me as well. I actually grew up a UCLA fan, and I got to meet Coach Wooden, and that was the thrill of a lifetime. But yeah, I mean, the idea of just even meeting a legendary coach of that magnitude, I would have felt the same way, honestly, now having been adopted into the WSU family with George Raveling, because sitting here with you, right? You're a Cougar legend. Like, it's an honor, honestly, to be here on this podcast and share the screen with you and share memories of your days and your experiences that mean so much to all of us. So, amongst all of it, just thank you, Craig, for being with us.
Well, I appreciate it. No question about it. I told her that, we'd have to leave small group early. And we told everybody at the small group. And one of them actually reminded us that it was almost 7. But
thank goodness.
Again, everything that I have in my life today is all from, being able to be at Washington State. I met my wife my junior year, and we didn't get married till 1985. She wanted to get married right when I got drafted in the 3rd round by the Rockets, but my first contract was only like $35,000. And I was like, I'm not for sure how long this is going to last. So maybe see how much more I can do. But so, I spent 2 years in Houston before we finally tied the knot here in Hayden, of all places, on June 22nd, 1985. She's born me with 3 great kids. They all grew up in Spokane. I have great in-laws. All my brother-in-laws and my father-in-law played baseball at Washington State. My mother-in-law is a graduate of Washington State, and her parents actually taught at Washington State.
So cool.
A lot of
awesome.
Washington State in my blood, and so yeah, it runs kind of deep in our family.
That's awesome.
No kidding.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, in transitioning,
Okay.
you've probably talked about this extensively. You've heard it over and over. You
He
know
knows
what's coming.
Look at him. Yeah.
The shot with
Yep,
Jordan.
the shot. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to change this up though, Craig. What
Okay.
happens if you block that shot? How does the trajectory of your career change?
I think we do exactly what the Bulls did and win 3 straight championships. That's how talented our team was. I think as far as me, I was still a sub on that roster because Ron Harper was. I played his rookie year, actually 4 years with him. So, and Ron turned out to be just who we thought he would be, just a great basketball player. We traded him for Danny Ferry. That we thought we needed a 3-man at that time. And once we did that, my career actually changed quite a bit because I went from being a sub to a starter on that team. And yeah, if I could have blocked that shot, and we would have kept Ron Harper, and we'd have hung a few more championships other than LeBron's up in the rafters, because that's just how good we were.
Yeah. Well, for you particularly, it was said that basically you came in there to both compliment and assist Mark Price at the time. Am I right? That's why you got signed, and they thought you would be a
Yes.
great addition to the team to really help fill out the roster and build it up accordingly. Explain a little bit more about that and at least the presentation of you kind of coming to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay, so after I got released by the Rockets, that 86-87 season, the agent that I had at the time was like, "Yeah, don't worry, you just played in the NBA Finals." And I was like, "I didn't play in the NBA Finals. I was in the NBA Finals with the Rockets, but I didn't play." But he was like, "No, somebody's going to pick you up." November rolled by, nobody picked me up. December rolled by, nobody picked me up. So finally, Rudy T, who was Tom Janovich, was the assistant coach that when I was with the Rockets the whole time. We were shooting in the gym one day. He was always helping me, stay in shape and work out, even though I wasn't part of the team anymore. He was like, "Hey, I got a friend that's coaching in the CBA down in Jacksonville. He had a few guys not come back after Christmas, and he needs a few players. What do you think?" I said, "Well, what's it like?" And he was like, "Well, you're not going to make $35,000. You're going to make $420 maybe a game." His name was Tom Nasaki, and he said, "You'll really like him, and he'll do everything in his power to help you." And sure enough, went played in, I think, 5 CBA games, and he made a call to the guy that represented him. I changed agents, and on January 13th, I was in a Cleveland Cavalier uniform. And what happened was actually Mark Price was a rookie that year, and he had fallen ill with or just appendicitis and had to go to the hospital for appendectomy. So lo and behold, I signed a 10-day contract. The first game that I got there was on January 13th, and it was a back-to-back with Detroit, one at our place and one at their place. So I didn't even know who the guys on my team. I mean, I knew some, like, their names and stuff, but I didn't know who they were. And we bust the night after we played in Cleveland, and Coach Wilkins sat me down next to him on the bus, showed me a few plays, showed me a few things that they did, and played like 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe in that game. And then we went back home, and we had a game with Milwaukee on Friday. The point guard that we had at the time, John Bagley, on the tip, gets the tip, goes down, and tries to make a layup. We won the tip, and he went into the hole, rolled his ankle horribly. Now he's got Ron Harper and me on the floor at the same time because we had nobody else. So I was kind of thrown and baptized by fire, but it came down to where I had like maybe 20 points and 7 assists in that game. And then we had another game on Monday against the Hawks. And the highlight was blocking Dominique's. He had a dunk that I blocked. He brought it back behind here like he always does. And I was behind him, so I just kind of grabbed it. And there was about 2,000 people in the stands, so they start chanting my name, Ehlo, Ehlo. I think I finished with 26 that night.
Dang.
And then we had another game on Thursday of that same. So my 10-day is coming up and I'm getting really nervous because my agent that I just hired said, well, they really haven't said anything yet about signing you to another one. And what it was, the reason why they were being quiet was they actually had to trade 2 guys to keep me on the roster. So
Wow.
they were in the process of trading those guys. And then once they did that, they signed me for the rest of the year. And lo and behold, Mark comes back. And instead of being angry at me, we become really good friends. And so, yeah, the next 7 years, I was a teammate with him.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is an interesting thought. We wanted to bring up the shot. We wanted to ask you something that was a little different, and your answer is just, it is amazing. Like that one moment. And honestly, I look at it and I'm like, I don't know what you could have done differently. I mean, you had your hand in his face.
He stopped on a dime. He stopped on a dime, Greg. There's nothing you could have done.
Well, the thing was that Coach Wilkins did something that he never did before, and it cost us. And if he did it again, he probably would do it the way he always did it. But he took Larry Nance off of the ball and put Larry in front of Michael and me behind him. So we were double teaming him, and we wanted him to go to midcourt. And because that meant it was further to get back, to get a shot off. And so instead of putting Larry there, he could have put Ron Harper there. Me and Ron at, double teaming him, could have kept him from catching the ball. But by putting Larry there, Larry's 6'11", he's very agile. I mean, he's super athletic. But Michael kind of went to midcourt, stopped with his right leg, and Larry kind of stumbled and thought, like, it looked like he was trying to catch up with him. And all this time I'm standing behind him and I'm just relaxing because I'm thinking Larry's going to keep him from catching it. But when he stumbled, he couldn't, it was just me and him. And so I ran to catch him on the wing. And when I ran, I didn't run in a defensive slide. If I would have been in more of a defensive stance, I might have could have kept him on the sideline. But as soon as I got there, he was already going back to where he stopped on the dime and shot it. So it was me basically running by.
Right.
So everybody says, he jumped the highest and he can hang in the air the longest. And he did because he waited for me to go by.
Yep.
And as soon as I went by, he got a clear look at the rim. And yeah, I mean, it didn't go in like swish. I mean,
it rattled home.
Yeah, and it was devastating because it was at that time that Coliseum, Richfield Coliseum, held like maybe 20,000, and they probably had 22 in there, and it was so loud before, and even when I was watching The Last Dance by myself, actually. And they had Ron Harper, saying like, I told Coach Wilkins, I got Jordan. And I was like, he didn't say that. So I called Larry first and I said, did he say that? And he was like, no, he didn't say that. And I called Mark next, and Mark was like, I didn't hear him say that. And I called Coach Wilkins and he said, no, he didn't say that. So that was all.
My gosh. The fact that this is unraveling like right in front of our episode, like I'm just so excited. Like
that's cool.
Honestly, that's hysterical. Like you're telling us all the intricate details. So fun.
But we knew exactly who was going to get it. There was no question, and we just couldn't stop him. That's how good he was. And the best thing was the rivalry that we created from that series, because they were in our division. So we saw them at that time 6 times, 3 at home, 3 away. So yeah, I got to guard Michael a lot.
Yeah.
And I think 5 of the 7 years I was in Cleveland, we played them in the playoffs, so I even guarded him more than a
Yeah.
lot. But my dad loved it. My dad, after the shot, called me immediately. We didn't have a cell phone, so he had to wait until I got home on a landline, and he was like, "How great was that?" He was just like, "What?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's just like, "You got to like." No one talks about the 3 seconds before, where the play
Yeah.
worked to perfection,
Yep.
and we could have kept more time on the clock if it would have just been a little bit more difficult.
Sure.
But it was old give and go, just like it worked absolutely there was nobody around me. But I mean,
Yeah.
Michael came from the top and was kinda I'd already gone by, but yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, my dad cheered me up pretty good about like, "This was one of the best series I ever seen." He's like,
Yeah.
"And you got to guard Michael at the end." And it was like, "Oh my gosh." And then yeah, so my dad put it all in perspective. It was like,
Totally.
as a fan, yeah, it hurt that we lost, but boy, he was like all about like scoring because I think that was my career high scoring
Yeah.
for a playoff at that time. So yeah,
Yeah. No, there's an alternate universe where you block that shot, and the storyline coming out of that game is Craig Ehlo scores the game-winning basket and makes the game-winning shot block and scores like that could there's a universe out
oh,
there where that's
yeah.
the
Well,
case,
to tell you
so
the truth, I believe Nike did a what if campaign.
did they
And
really?
they did. They like Michael missed the shot. Like, what if he missed it? Or I forgot if it was Jeter getting tagged out by the
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
at home. And I mean, it was just yeah, they did the what if, but what ifs are a
That's all you
dime a
can
dozen. So yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, it was fun, and even more so when you go back to Coach Raveling when he finally retired from everything. Nike hired him to run their camps, and he
Mm,
hated the way that the camps were set up because all they did was play a game in the morning, play a game in the afternoon, play a game at night.
yeah.
And the kids were getting nothing out of it. And so he changed it to you did some drills in the morning, you did some life skills in the afternoon, and the NCAA had a crazy rule that you had to have a game for anybody
Right.
still in high school. And I got to work 7 years of those with him.
Cool.
So yeah,
Wow.
so when you asked me if I stayed in touch, yes, I did. And of
That's
course, with
awesome.
Coach Wilkins, he lived in Seattle,
Yeah.
and he had an event every year that he invited us to. The Odessa Brown clinics were built by his foundation. So, it was like, I mean, I don't think I ever lost touch with either one of them.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's great. All right. Well, the 2025-2026 Washington State Cougar basketball season got off to a little bit of a shaky start, dropping the first two games to Idaho and Davidson. But the
Yep.
Cougs bounced back last night and beat the St. Thomas Tommies 81-71 in Beasley. I was there. The team just looked completely different. What did you
And
see
man,
behind the turnaround, and what do you think is the key to keeping that going for the rest of the season?
well, first of all, y'all got to be the Viking fan club because Tomas, he got thrown into the fire last year with the injuries and stuff, and he's really been amazing to watch. He kind of deferred a lot of things to last year to Cal Meese and
Sure.
the other guys, but he's really stepped into like a scorer's role and showed very capable that he can do that. The Rodriguez kid is a new addition to the team from Spain, and they were very high on him. I was there when Yaki was a freshman, and that was during the COVID years, and he didn't know a bit of English. And with COVID shutting the campus down, poor guy had no social calendar whatsoever. And
Right.
it was a bad, time for guys like that. But yeah, I think Andre really played very well, better than the first two games. And then Ugbo, I saw it. We played against Boise State the last 4 years, and he did some damage to us in the games that he played with. EY, I think it feels a little more comfortable in his role now. But
Yeah.
I feel for these coaches today. I mean, it's just insane that we have we had 3 prominent guys come back, and you got to fill those other spots with guys that are looking to make a change themselves, and it's tough because everybody seems to want to know what chemistry is on basketball on the court for chemistry. And I got to tell you, the years that I've played, the team that I played on, we had 4 seniors my senior year that we were together for the 2 years that I was there. We played every day in Smith Gym that we could together. And the only way I try to explain chemistry is like, I know what Guy Williams likes to eat. I know what Chris Winkler does after he calls his girlfriend, after he does a flip or somersault on his bed, and then looks at us and says, like, all of that is chemistry.
Yeah.
And when you play together and you have that cohesiveness, that takes time and over a 2-year period, probably. And with guys changing teams every year, these guys have to put together a team that hasn't played and know each other. So, yeah, I think the month of November for Coach Rowley is always kind of like hit and miss. I mean, sure, we want him to win every game, but what he's doing is building for the conference. And I'm not a big fan of the WCC, so can't wait for the new Pac-12 or whatever they're going to name it, and where we can start playing some traditional games. Because like y'all and Cougar, you were used to playing UCLA and USC. They were coming to town, and it meant something. So it's obviously we got to build some more of those in the new conference. But yeah, right now, everything that I saw last night was night and day from the Idaho and Davidson game. And I don't think we'll have slow starts anymore. And I think Ugbo can be our one guy that was like Isaac Jones a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then I just think like Rodriguez, he is, he's a combo guard, but more of a point guard than he is a scoring guard. So I think with he could be a very good confidence boost last night and go further. So yeah, call me back in after December 24th or 25th, and I guarantee you this team will be because I've been to Coach Riley's practices, and I see the way they run them. I see the way the assistants, integrate themselves into the positions that they're coaching and stuff. And they put in a lot of hard work, and they watch a lot of film, and they'll get better. Last year was a tough one with the injuries and stuff, but I mean, how many guys do you know that the Pac-12 was disbanding? And Washington State and Oregon State didn't get invited to anybody's party, but you still want, Kyle Smith jumped ship, Pat Chun jumped ship. They all jumped ship when this all happened. David Riley jumped into the ship for the Cougars, and I love what he says. Like all last year, he was always like, yeah, we have Pac-12 caliber players, and yes, we recruit Pac-12 guys. So I like his mindset, and I think it's a process, and it's going to take a while for his staff, but he wants to be here, and just filling the 13 roster spots that he had to him and his staff, I was amazed, and they'll do nothing but get better at recruiting.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on the chemistry side. At least watching the Idaho game in person, I felt like we were making the right pass a lot of the times, 2 steps too late. And especially with Rodriguez, you saw that just that little bit of second guessing, that little bit of hesitation, that little bit of, I don't know if the guy's really going to be where I think he's going to be. And it slowed everything down. We were slow on defense because we weren't communicating. We were slow on offense because we weren't making the right passes, or at least at the right time. And that was something, just looking at that one player, looking at Rodriguez, he looked completely different last night.
Comfortable
Very comfortable, knew where everybody was going to be. He was confident when he was driving the lane. I mean, he was just a different player. And for us to do well this season, we have to have him go, and we have to have Okafor go. And he's another guy that you saw play a lot more confidently last night. So a lot to look forward to, and like you said, the new conference is going to be super exciting. I mean, the people talk about Gonzaga, and obviously that's going to be an awesome opportunity to play them. But even the likes of like Utah State, they are building a good program.
San Diego State,
San
don't
Diego
forget San Diego
State's awesome. Yeah, so it's going to be a blast, and I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, and it's going to take time. I mean, like, when I was going to Washington State in 1983, the Pac-10 was, who they were. But it's, some people are stuck in tradition and things like that. But I think this new conference is great. And I just like I said, Boise State being so close, why can't they be
Yeah.
our rivals? Now, I still
Totally.
hate the Dogs, and the Dogs will always be, on the other side. But I think everybody wants to keep playing them, and I don't think Coach Riley would ever shy away from that. Or if Washington does, it would be their call, not our call. But yeah, I love, like you said, Fresno State, San Diego State. Can't believe we're going to Texas State, but yeah, we'll be doing that too. But yeah, I think the everybody that I've come in touch with about David Rowley all say great things about him. He's like a young man's Tony Bennett. I mean, Tony had a little bit more charisma, but I guarantee you David Rowley is going to find a Klay Thompson at some point. So
I completely agree. It was something that I saw in just the style of play when Eastern Washington came to Pullman in the tournament,
the NIT, yeah.
NIT. And I watched the way in which that team evolved. They played defensively. They were scrappy. You could see the caliber of player was not the same as what we had at WSU, but he pushed us and beat us in our home court. And I thought, how disappointing is this? But ever since that moment, him and his assistant coach, what's his name, have both captured my eye. And I thought, these are the guys that I think we need to lead the program should something happen. And I'm so glad we got them first. So yeah,
I agree with you. No question about it. And I even love the football coach. I mean, he's kind of stoic when you talk to him, but boy, he crosses his T's and dots his I's. So, and again, he wants to be there and wants to lead the Cougs into the new era.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
well, we got
exciting time for both programs.
We got the Apple Cup of basketball coming up Friday night. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. Should be a good crowd with the football game happening the next day.
Big weekend.
Yeah, it should be awesome. So what's the scouting report on UW? They come in at 2-1. What are some keys to victory for the Cougs in this one?
Well, a guy that we played when he was at Oregon 7 years ago, Kepcon. He's a big man, but not much basketball skill. But I think I can't remember the exact number of guys that they had to bring in too. So they're still looking for their own kind of chemistry. But anybody that because he coached at Utah State, the big guys that they brought in last year that they gave like $2 million was a bust. But I think he's a very competitive guy, and I think he, the way he coached them last year when we were over there, very fiery, and I think he can get them motivated. And it's a rivalry game, and anything can happen in these rivalry games, be it if it's your first year in a Coug uniform or the University of Washington uniform. I think it will be a competitive game, but we should have the home court advantage, like you said. So, and with the football game being the next night, yes, there should be a few more stragglers in there that can help take us to the next level if we need it.
Absolutely. Darren and I will be there.
All right.
We'll be there.
I'll be excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I'll bring you your barbecue sauce.
I love it. I'm a BQ guy.
Awesome. Well, again, we just so appreciate you taking the time to be on the show and chat with us. It's just so fun to relive all the glory days, all your amazing accomplishments. I know we hit on some of the tougher times for you, but again, just thank you so much for coming on.
No problem at all. I appreciate it. And I love the name of the podcast, The Fieldhouse Report. I meant, is there anything older than the Fieldhouse than that on campus? But yeah, no, it was best days of my life. The 2 years I was in Pullman.
Love it.
Definitely.
Well,
Feel the same way.
Oh yeah, we all do. You're talking to the right people, Craig. We all do. Well, that does it for another episode of the Fieldhouse Report. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Be sure to tune in on Friday night as we will have Ryan Leaf live in downtown Pullman to preview the football game on Saturday before we head up to the basketball game and watch the Cougs stomp the Dogs in Beasley. It's going to be awesome. And if you can't make it to Beasley that night, be sure to tune in to Cougar basketball on the radio to hear from yours truly, Craig Ehlo. Thanks again, Craig, and go Cougs.
Yeah, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.